The jungle holds its breath in the suffocating dark. A single drop of sweat traces a path through the grime on a young soldier's cheek. The air, thick with the scent of damp earth and rot, is unnaturally still. Then the world tears itself apart. A flash of white-hot light shatters the night. The ground heaves a violent, guttural roar that deafens and disorients. Red tracers stitch fiery lines across the black canvas of the sky. This is Tay Ninh Province, Vietnam. The date is April 1st, 1970. What begins as a day for jokes and pranks is about to descend into a night of unimaginable horror. On the perimeter of Fire Support Base Illingworth, a young sergeant's face, barely 20 years old, is illuminated in the chaos. His helmet sits low over his eyes. This is Peter Lemon, of the 1st Cavalry Division. His world has just been reduced to muzzle flashes, the screams of men, and the metallic taste of fear. Before the first mortar shell hit, there was a deceptive calm. The sun had bled out across the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple. Soldiers, their green fatigues stained with the red dust of Vietnam, cleaned their rifles with practice motions. The air hummed with insects and the distant thrum of a generator. Fire Support Base Illingworth is an island of raw, bulldozed earth in a sea of triple canopy jungle, a ring of sandbags, coiled barbed wire, and heavy artillery pointed out into the oppressive darkness. It is a bastion, a target, a home. Tonight, it will become a crucible. The attack comes without warning, a perfectly coordinated storm of fire from the North Vietnamese army. Mortar rounds walk across the compound, each explosion a geyser of dirt and steel. A rocket-propelled grenade screams past, its fiery tail a malevolent comet. The defensive perimeter is instantly ablaze. A searing heat rips across Sergeant Lemon's back and shoulder. He stumbles, the impact like a sledgehammer blow. Shrapnel, white-hot and jagged, has torn through his uniform and flesh. He looks down, and his fatigues are dark, not with mud, but with his own blood. Pain is a distant alarm bell, drowned out by the thunder of the assault. Adrenaline, pure and potent, floods his system. Through the swirling smoke and dust, he sees the crew of a heavy mortar pit cut down in a hail of automatic weapons fire. The enemy is close, terrifyingly close. They are already inside the wire. Lemon ignores the fire burning in his back and scrambles towards the silenced position. The ground is littered with spent shell casings. The air is thick with the smell of cordite. He reaches the mortar tube, its heavy steel cool to the touch. The enemy is swarming a machine gun bunker nearby, their shadowy forms silhouetted by the constant explosions. Grabbing his M16 rifle, he stands fully exposed, a lone figure against a backdrop of fire. He lays down a torrent of suppressing fire, the rifle bucking against his wounded shoulder. Each report of the weapon is a defiant shout into the storm. He provides just enough cover for a wounded comrade to be dragged back from the brink. But the fight for this position is just beginning. A wave of North Vietnamese soldiers surges forward, their faces grim masks of determination. Lemon's rifle clicks empty. There's no time to reload. He sees them closing in, their bayonets glinting in the flickering light. With a roar, he uses the rifle as a club, a primitive, desperate act of survival. The stock connects with a sickening crack. He is one man against a tide, fighting with the ferocity of a cornered animal. He is wounded again. More shrapnel tears into his leg. He falls but pushes himself back up, his movements now slow, agonizing. He knows he cannot hold this position alone. He needs a different weapon. His eyes scan the chaotic landscape and find a discarded bag of hand grenades. He crawls towards it, dragging his injured leg through the churned-up mud, bullets kicking up dirt around him. His hand closes around the cold, pineapple-textured steel of a grenade. A sharp tug, the pin comes free with a metallic click. He hurls it in a high arc towards the muzzle flashes winking from a freshly captured American bunker. The grenade disappears into the darkness, followed by a tense 3-second count. A muffled, concussive whump, and the enemy guns fall silent. He grabs another, and another. He becomes a phantom in the smoke, a lone grenadier moving from crater to crater. His mind is a steel trap of focus. Identify the target, pull the pin, throw, find cover. He single-handedly clears enemy positions, his grenades arcing through the night, each explosion a small victory in a losing battle. He sees another machine gun emplacement, its crew silenced. The weapon is critical. If it falls, a whole section of the firebase will collapse. Ignoring the blood now soaking through his trousers, he sprints across open ground, a 50-yard dash through a blizzard of steel. He dives into the sandbag pit, landing among the still bodies of his comrades. He grabs the grips of the .50 caliber machine gun. The weapon is heavy, solid, an instrument of immense power. He swings the barrel towards the enemy, depresses the butterfly trigger, and unleashes hell. The gun thunders, a deafening, rhythmic jackhammer. A stream of glowing tracers scythes through the darkness, chewing up the earth and finding their mark. The sheer volume of fire drives the attackers back, forcing them to seek cover. But the gun jams. A misfed round. His hands, slick with blood and sweat, work frantically to clear the stoppage. In these few seconds of silence, the enemy rallies. A grenade lands in the pit. There is no time to think. He grabs it, the metal hot in his palm, and hurls it back out just as it detonates, the blast shielding him but shaking his entire world. He clears the machine gun and fires again, his body screaming in protest, his vision blurring from blood loss. He continues to fight until another explosion, closer this time, throws him violently from emplacement. He lands hard, his body a map of pain. The world begins to fade to black. Through a haze, he sees another American soldier, wounded far worse than himself, lying exposed in the kill zone. Something inside Lemon refuses to quit. He crawls to the man, the effort taking every last ounce of his strength. He hoists the soldier onto his own wounded back, a dead weight of limp limbs and gear. Every movement is agony. He begins the long, slow crawl towards the relative safety of a makeshift aid station. Bullets snap over his head. The ground shudders with nearby impacts. He just keeps moving, one painful inch at a time, protecting the man on his back with his own body. He reaches the aid station, a dimly lit bunker filled with the groans of the wounded. He deposits his friend into the care of the medics and collapses against the wall. For a moment, he allows himself to feel the exhaustion, the searing pain from multiple wounds. But the battle is not over. The staccato chatter of enemy rifles is getting closer. The aid station, full of helpless men, is about to be overrun. Sergeant Peter Lemon looks at the wounded faces around him. He looks at his own bloody hands. He is not done yet. He finds another rifle leaning against a stack of crates. He pushes himself to his feet, a staggering, ghost-like figure. He props himself up in the doorway of the bunker, a lone, wounded sentinel. His rifle rests on his knee, pointed out into the darkness. He holds his position, firing methodically at any shape that moves, one last line of defense between the enemy and his wounded brothers. He fights until the last of his strength gives out, until his consciousness finally surrenders to the wounds, collapsing on the floor of the bunker he so fiercely defended. As dawn breaks, its pale, gray light filters through the thinning smoke. The sounds of battle have been replaced by an eerie silence, punctuated by the cries of the wounded and the urgent shouts of medics. The devastation is absolute. The firebase is a ruin of splintered wood, torn sandbags, and blackened craters. But it has not fallen. Against all odds, the line has held. Sergeant Peter Lemon, riddled with shrapnel and near death from blood loss, is carried away on a stretcher. His actions on that April 1st, 1970, were no cruel joke. They were the testament of a single soldier who, when faced with overwhelming odds and crippling injury, refused to break. He refused to die, and he refused to let his comrades be overcome. His extraordinary courage would see him awarded the Medal of Honor, a symbol of a night when one man became a legend. Tell me your favorite war story I should talk about next. Don't forget to subscribe and like the video.